Hundreds of former federal prosecutors have joined together to support the current career prosecutors, mainline prosecutors in the Department of Justice who are being drummed out, who are being fired, who are being forced to violate their constitutional oath on the same day that we have one Denise Chung who's left her position as the head of the criminal division for the District of Columbia U.S. Attorney's Office because she refuses to do Donald Trump's bidding and start a criminal investigation of Joe Biden and of the Biden administration giving out clean energy money appropriately under their policies and under their procedures. She refused, and she resigned as a result. I'm Michael Popok. I'll tie it all together right here on Legal AF. Same day. And it shows you how Emile Beauvais is being used, the former criminal lawyer for Donald Trump, how he's being used as the henchman, as the Darth Vader, right, as the angel of death to take out career prosecutors, hollow out that organization. And that's why we have this constitutional and ethical crisis at that department. He just got done, Emile Beauvais, being at the center of an unholy deal involving Mayor Adams in New York, which is likely to lead to Mayor Adams no longer being Mayor Adams. And now he's at the heart of somebody like Denise Chung, who you and I and those who believe in democracy and those who believe in the rule of justice want. We want them on that wall. We need them at that wall. No, she's leaving the wall because she refuses to impanel a grand jury and start a criminal investigation when she says the evidence doesn't support it and it would be premature as retaliation and retribution. This is lawfare, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on right now. Let me start with the letter, and then I'll go with the comments by Denise Chung, and we will tie it all together. The letter that came out of the former federal prosecutors, they created an open letter to all of their brethren, all of their federal prosecutors that they used to work with that are still there. Basically a letter of support, a letter of reaffirmation to tell them to stand their ground, to hold the line, to be on the wall. Here's what it says. It's a short letter signed by hundreds. Like you, each of us devoted years of our professional lives to pursuing justice on behalf of the American people. Although we dutifully carried out the lawful enforcement priorities of the executive branch, irrespective of who headed it, the oath we swore was to the Constitution, not to the President, Attorney General, or any other individual. Our obligations didn't stop at the oath we took to support and defend the Constitution. They included upholding a set of values that have guided the U.S. Department of Justice for decades. Those are the values, friends, that are missing completely valueless, soulless Trump presidency. The letter continues. These values are ingrained in the department's DNA as exemplified by the principles of federal prosecution, which were written to ensure federal prosecutors exercise their tremendous power fairly, without regard to partisan politics and in furtherance of the rule of law. Next paragraph. As prosecutors, we were rightly prohibited from making criminal charging decisions based on someone's political association, activities, or beliefs, or because of our personal feelings about them. This is what's called high moral character, ladies and gentlemen. This is what's being exhibited by these prosecutors. We knew it was impermissible to treat a defendant more leniently just because they were powerful or well-connected, or more harshly because they were not. We were taught to pursue justice without fear or favor and knew our decisions to investigate and charge would be based only on the facts and the law. We knew these values were more than just requirements in a manual. They were foundational to a fair and just legal system, and we upheld them no matter who was president. Against this backdrop, the letter continues, we've watched with alarm as these values have been tested by recent actions of the department's current leadership. Some of you have been ordered to make charging decisions based expressly on considerations other than the facts and the law. That would be the Eric Adams decision to drop the case against Eric Adams to make him play ball when it comes to immigration policy. including to serve solely political purposes, as I was saying. Some of you have been forced to consider whether your actions will result in the elimination of the public integrity section created in the wake of the Watergate scandal, and whose vital work is intended to protect the public from government corruption. Several of you have resigned, and others are wondering what will happen to the department we served and revere. This is the final note here. To all of you in bold, we communicate this. We salute and admire the courage many of you have already exhibited, and that will guide all of you as you continue to serve the interests of justice. You have responded to ethical challenges of a type no public servant should ever be forced to confront with principle and conviction in the finest traditions of the Department of Justice. We know there will be more challenges ahead. We have no doubt that those who continue to serve will uphold the department's values for the sake of the rule of law, just as you've always done. Please know that when you do, generations of former federal prosecutors are watching with pride and admiration and stand ready to support you in this honorable pursuit. Signed by over 100 former federal prosecutors, including Jack Smith. Now we take it forward to Denise Chung. Denise Chung, on or about the time of the arrival of this letter, took one look at the letter, or at least metaphorically, and said, "I'm out. I'm not going to start a criminal investigation of the Trump administration's use of its properly passed by Congress Inflation Reduction Act and clean energy money passed out through the EPA and say that it was a crime or get a grand jury to indict based on it. I would rather not. I would rather resign than to do that and violate my oath of office." Here's what she had to say, very similar to the tone, the tonality, and the candor of this particular letter, I would say. She said, and I quote, "I've been proud to serve at the U.S. Department of Justice and this office for over 24 years during my tenure, which has spanned over many different administrations," right? She goes back before, I think she started with Clinton. "I have always been guided by the oath I took to support and defend the Constitution. When I started as an AUSA," she continued, "I took an oath of office to support and defend the Constitution, and I've executed this duty faithfully during my tenure, which has spanned through numerous administrations. I know that all of the AUSAs, the assistants in the office, continue to honor their oaths on a daily basis, just as I know that you have always conducted yourself with the utmost integrity." The problem is we've got the new head of that same office that she just quit. And he is a Trumper. He's an election denier of the first order. Ed Martin. Ed Martin represented a number of Jan 6th insurrectionists, including those that beat the police. Literally beat them with a flagpole in one instance. He was actually on both sides of the dismissal. He signed the dismissal as the U.S. attorney for a client of his on the defense side. Completely unethical. And that's what she's leaving, because it's clear that he's going to be the head of that office. She would be the head of the criminal division. How could she possibly? We have a direct order from Emile Bove in Maine Justice, in the Department of Justice, telling a U.S. attorney in their office in D.C. to start an investigation when the facts don't lead there and the law doesn't lead there. Emile Bove is the angel of death when it comes to the justice system. There's no other way to put it. He looks a little bit like the angel of death too, by the way. So I think what we're seeing is the strong conviction and the moral integrity of people who have worked their whole life in the Department of Justice. And they'll be damned if they're going to see it thrown aside and have the Department of Justice become an enforcer for political retribution by Donald Trump and those in his administration. They'll do it over their dead body. At least their resigned bodies. We'll continue to follow it all right here on Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Take a moment. We're at a moment that's we couldn't even envision at the time of the election. Our brother network, the Midas Touch Network, just surpassed Joe Rogan for #1 podcast in America. I think we're in the top 10, Legal AF. We formed the new Legal AF channel at around the same time. We're looking to reach our 500,000 mile mark in the next week or two with your help. 1 million in the next 8 or 9 months. Free subscribers, all important to what we're building. We're doing it side by side with you, shoulder to shoulder. And the bigger we get, the more your voice is heard, because we have to speak truth to each other before we can speak truth to power. And I'm Michael Popok. I'm glad you're here. Follow me on all things Legal AF here. I curate this channel, Legal AF, the YouTube channel, Legal AF Hot Takes on the Midas Touch Network, Legal AF, the podcast on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and then a new podcast called Popok Live on Tuesday nights. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.